Elon Musk, from the mouth of the man himself, is really, really good at taking the impossible and turning it into just merely late. And maybe that is the case again. But if you have kept up with the sort of exponential way that the Tesla Optimus bot has been coming along, you, I think, will agree that it is an inevitability when you follow along with Grok's developments on X. I think you understand that that too is probably an inevitability to reach something like human intelligence or human superintelligence fairly soon. And when you put the two together, that is human competence or human supercompetence in a very near term basis. Last night, in an interview, just sort of off the cuff, Elon Musk was talking to someone who was at the CES show giving an interview, and he mentioned just very casually that in 2026 he expects Tesla to have 50,000 to 100,000 of the humanoid robot. In 2027, he said that would 10x, putting that number between 500,000 and 1 million. Now, eventually, I think that this is an inevitability, just like those other things before, just like Elon Musk started landing rockets, just like Elon Musk took a car that ran on batteries and made it profitable, something no one else had done before. This is happening. This is coming. What it means, we don't yet know. So what I am going to do for the sake of this video, we will play in Mystery Land. We will play in the fantastical. We will talk about some numbers in a very boring way. And I'm going to use the upper end of these numbers, these projections, to make a point because it's more fun. So, 100,000 bots in 2026. Mind you, we are approaching midway through January 2025. So Elon Musk thinks that in the next 11 months, they're going to be well on their way to being able to produce 100,000 robots, because that means 2026, they will have 100,000 bots. Albany, New York. You've heard of Albany, New York, not the biggest city in the United States for sure, not the biggest city in New York for sure. It has a population of right around 100,000. Decent sized city. Albany, New York has a GDP in 2023 of 84,910,398. If you were to simply download in Albany, New York to the United States GDP, that would be a pretty penny on the top of things. Now, that's not what would actually be happening. You have to realize that these are bots. They don't have hobbies. They don't want weekends. There are no holidays. It's not like they're girlfriend wouldn't shut up all night and they didn't get any sleep. It's not like their father never loved them, so they don't have self confidence. These are bots. They will be working 3 shifts per day, 8 hours, 16 hours, 24 hours. There are conveniently 3 shifts in a 24-hour period. So, 100,000 bots would be basically the same thing as a population of 300,000, slightly more than that if you take into account there are 7 days as opposed to 5 days in the actual work week, but whatever. I'm not getting that much into the weeds with this. It would be like adding a population of 300,000 employees to the national product. St. Paul, Minnesota is a city with a population of about 300,000. St. Paul, Minnesota in 2023 had a GDP of 350,710,500 432. There is a slightly outpaced effect to adding more people to the workforce. You are not simply 3xing the GDP. You are slightly more than 3xing the GDP. You're basically 4xing it, right? So this is like adding a St. Paul, Minnesota to the United States by the end of 2026. Adding a St. Paul, Minnesota to the GDP, which will then, you're not talking about people who are going to be blowing money. You're not talking about people who are going to be making mistakes driving to work. You're not talking about people who are going to be. So the one thing that kind of makes me question this is money velocity, just the sort of theory of money velocity. And you're not really spending that much on the employee. The employee doesn't have the dollar to spend. The employee is still creating the product. So I think there's some theory, some study to be done in there. Still, just the raw hypotheticals here, adding a St. Paul, Minnesota GDP of $350 million to the United States by the end of 2026 would be incredible for this country towards working off that debt, towards regrowing the economy, etc. And we're going to get into that a little bit thicker here. So, the 2027 projection. Remember, the 2027 projection was 500,000 to 1 million bots. The 2027 projection of adding 1 million bots is basically adding a population of 3 million people, because every bot in that 1 million will be working 3 shifts, whatever it is they're doing, right? That's the point of it being an actual economy. They will be able to work at McDonald's and do the fry machine. They will be able to be an accountant. They will be able to work at a retail establishment and face the shelves. All of these things and everything in between. Chicago is a city with a population of 2,666,452. That's 88.8% of 3 million. Chicago has a GDP of $894 million, 862,000. That's 11.2% short. You add 11.2% to that to make up for the population difference, 2.6 million to 3 million. The bots could be adding a 995 billion, 86,544,000 amount to the GDP. And I think, quite frankly, probably in a lot of places, if you're actually talking about 1 million bots, that is at a minimum, because you're also adding the tertiary jobs to those bots. Someone has to service them. Someone has to maintenance them. All of these things. Well, if you really want to get in the weeds, these bots can be servicing each other. Pause. Servicing themselves. Pause. But probably somewhere in that hierarchy, there will be a human being. It is entirely possible. I hate to Joe Rogan it. It is entirely possible that a bot fleet of 1 million could add, realistically, I think, tell me where I'm wrong if I'm wrong, please. A bot fleet of 1 million could add $1 trillion to the national GDP. The United States GDP in 2023 was $27.36 trillion. $1 trillion is about 3.7% of that. The GDP, if the GDP grows by 3%, we're having a really good year. A bot fleet of just 1 million, 2027, Tesla, 2027, that bot fleet of 1 million could double the GDP growth rate. If that is what we're talking about here, that is absolutely, we don't understand how to live in that world right now. We are on the precipice of that world. The end of 2027 is less than 36 months away. We are 30. This isn't, look, if this works, right? And look, Peter Thiel says don't bet against Elon Musk. And Peter Thiel has said some pretty smart things. We could, if this works, this is not the Industrial Revolution. This is not the advent of the internet. If the bot is functional, if the bot is out in the quantity that Elon Musk thinks it will be, we are 35 months away from a world we don't even understand. Not a world where we don't have to drive ourselves. Not a world where the movies are pretty good. Not a world where XYZ, a world we do not understand. This isn't the difference between having a phone at home and having a phone in your pocket. That's a big difference, especially if that phone in your pocket's a smartphone. Now, all of a sudden, you have the entire world's knowledge at your fingertips at any moment. No. This is having the labor at your fingertips to do anything. This is having nearly free labor at your fingertips to do anything. And that's just with 1 million. That's just if Tesla makes 1 million bots 3 years from now. What about 4 years from now when it's 2 million? What about 5 years from now when it's 7 million? One of the things that Elon Musk has talked about in relation to this is that at that point, if labor is not a constraint, what is an economy really? Right now, we don't know. He does not ask that question in jest. He's asking that question, I think, because he's searching for an answer. No one, to my knowledge, by the way, has answered it. Elon Musk thinks that we are entering a world of superabundance, where there will not be universal basic income. There will be universal high income. I don't know what that looks like. I understand probably he's done a whole lot of thinking about this. I understand probably there's a whole lot of people that have done a lot of thinking about this. I don't know what that looks like. I don't understand what that means. If they're just throwing money at you, what value does the money have? Now, I think probably this will unfurl slowly at first and then all at once, right? That's the way revolutions like this happen. I don't know what that slowly at first and then all at once looks like on a global scale, leading into a world that we do not recognize. The disparity of wealth is going to be immediate. And I don't know how it aggregates. I don't know how it accumulates. I don't know where it goes afterwards. You have these bots to do your bidding. I don't think it's going to put humans out of work for a long time because you can only make so many bots at a time. Plus, if you look at the global scale, there are millions of deficits in jobs per XYZ. per year, per month, per day, per business, per um, economic category. There are deficiencies in job counts that we don't even know we have, right? It is not until you have the workforce to imagine new jobs that you can make them, that you think to tell someone to do X, Y, and Z. And we could be 35 months away from this being a stark reality. These are just some numbers that I put up. Interesting. There are myriad conversations happening around the internet right now about this very thing, about these very numbers. And wow, that is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, these types of conversations are the conversations I have on this channel. So consider hitting the subscribe button to stick around for more in the future. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.